Ubisoft hosted the Division 2 private beta this past weekend for their upcoming looter shooter. The beta had a few server issues, friend codes were not sent at all, and the experience was a bit buggy, but in general, it showed promise for the upcoming release. Division 2 takes place 7 months after the events of the first game, and instead of exploring the Big Apple, players are now dropped into Washington DC in the middle of a civil war between the survivors of the outbreak and a load of bad guys that are using the whole end of the world thing to take over the state. The Division 2 private beta included a taste of multiplayer, a selection of main missions, as well as side missions to complete. In terms of progression, there were a handful of skills to use, and most of them were locked out of the roster. Basically, the private beta gave us a taste of the intro to the game. After a cool cinematic, we were dropped just outside the White House with an objective to kill the attackers and secure the building. The White House in Division 2 acts as a base of operations, similar to Pennsylvania Plaza from the first game. It's here that you'll sort out your loot, buy new things, upgrade skills, and of course contribute points towards different wings in order to progress and unlock new perks and skills. The systems in Division 2 are pretty much the same as the first game, and they work decently well, so why change them? There is a lot to digest when it comes to how the game works and how everything comes together. The first hours are strictly there for you to learn the ropes, and the beta did a great job explaining it all to you. You can equip 2 skills, assigned to 2 buttons. Each skill has a few variations that need to be unlocked. The drone, for example, can heal you, or you can make it attack enemies. This skill tree-like path lets you focus on creating the ideal character build for every situation. Seeing as the game will have 8-player raids, we can see this being beneficial when you need to make use of every player's skill set. Combat in the game is refined as ever, given you don't lag around or the game's performance jitters like crazy. It was a beta, so we kinda forgive them for this though. Enemies attack in groups, and you need to take them out to the best of your abilities and weapons. Cover was key in the first game, and nothing has really changed in that department. Stand out in the open during a gunfight and you'll get shot from every location and die. Luckily, the cover system works very well. You can duck behind it, move your camera around to eye out the next barricade, and sprint there. If you deviate from that path, then you'll be able to move wherever you want. It's all about being tactical and inching your way closer and closer to your enemies as you take them out from any position. Of course, playing in a group is the best way to experience the game, and anything we did was easier, more strategic, and a lot more fun with friends. The one mission saw us head through a hotel to the top and take down an armored baddie. The trip was filled with crazed enemies from shotgun attackers, snipers, and the craziest of them all, the melee guys. These melee enemies have nothing better to do with their time but run around and try smack you in the head with a bat. They're probably the strongest enemies, and they don't value their lives at all. One of our group members fell victim to these bats quite often, and it was actually hilarious to witness. We would not go as far as to say that everyone had a role in our mission. We were just all shooting, reviving where we could, and using all our abilities to the max. However, if we remember the first game, halfway in, everybody had their own job and it worked pretty well. We hope Division 2 further expands on this, making teamwork even more fun and important. Ubisoft made sure to work on the endgame, which means we could definitely see this happen. Outside of missions, the streets of Washington DC are filled with things to see and do. We stumbled across this takeover event where we had to keep enemies away for a couple of rounds in order for us to take control of the area. It was both challenging and kinda rewarding. There are also various collectibles to find that you would remember from the first game. We especially loved the recordings that gave us insight to the people and events prior to us arriving in the area, and these things are back for our listening pleasure. Of course, your character is the most important part of it, and the skills, gear, and weapons you find will help build the best class possible. There are some weapons that feel very underpowered right now, like the SMG and auto rifles that just spray bullets, very inaccurately I might add, and do very little damage. I personally love the slower firing rifles, as they allow you to sit back, take your time, and get some headshots in. These will most likely be the ones I use in the main game, unless we see some changes come in. Lastly, we have the PvP side of the game. During the beta, 1 dark zone area was accessible, however the main game at the end game will have 3. Once you hit level 5, you can enter these areas. The PvP part of the game has a separate progression system in Division 2, and your level will determine what perks you have available while you explore this PvP area. These perks range from being able to carry more contaminated gear to increased XP gains from the specific dark zone activities. The Dark Zone features some cool new things to see and do. First off, gear is now normalized for every player, taking away any advantages they may have for playing hundreds of hours and having the best equipment. The only advantage they have now would be the perks they unlock through the Dark Zone level system. Rogue agents can now also have the best and worst time of their lives inside the Dark Zone too. There are new levels of rogue agents, and the more you go rogue, the higher your level goes too. You'll be marked as a manhunted rogue if you really go at it, making your head a target for everybody. You can run away or try track down the Thieves' Den, which is a safe haven especially set up for rogue agents. You will have to complete specific challenges to discover this location first. PvP in the first game was not our forte, and I don't think I'll spend much time playing in the Dark Zone in Division 2. However, these tweaks made for a very welcome change. So far so good with the Division 2. The private beta showed that very little has changed in terms of the game's core, and that's a good thing. The true question is whether or not Ubisoft will get more endgame this time around. A few weeks after the first game's launch, there was nothing to do and millions of players jumped ship back to games like Destiny. The Division 2 needs to nail this down and keep players coming back for more.